So Red Hill, growing up for me, right, it's from my front door, my house, the track's like 15 minutes. So, you know, hometown track, all the people that I grew up around in racing, taking me to 𝒆𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒐𝒏𝒔, things like that. They were all there. You know, the earliest memories of like '96, right? So I think that year we'd had a micro and raced, and my grandma actually helped the lady that had the concession stands at the track. So I would go with them early on a weekend so I could get in. I just had to unload and load all the ice for them. So my job at the concession stand was done early, plenty early to make hot laps, sit there in the stands and watch it all. Can remember that midget race, that USAC midget race in '96 that was supposed to be at Terre Haute, got moved to Red Hill. Stewart and Irwin got into each other in the 9 cars, and then Steve Knepper won. And then, you know, later in my life got to work on a race car out of Steve Knepper's garage. So that's all pretty cool. And I just, you know, those early teen years of just truly falling in love with sprint cars and midgets, and then us getting a IMCA sprint car. So my dad and my uncle built an all-steel 360 for a new class at Red Hill. I think it lasted 4 weeks. So now we had a sprint car and these smaller wings that we didn't have anything to do with. So we ended up venturing out to Paragon and Bloomington and Putnamville a little bit in that year. And then when the USAC race got announced in '98, coming to Red Hill, I think I was 16. We did not know that you had to be 18 to race USAC then. So we were able to get emancipated there in Olney. Fortunately, my mom and dad both graduated high school with the judge at the time, an attorney, made it all happen. Johnny Caples couldn't believe it, that we got it done that fast, but there we were. Probably didn't need to be there then that night in October of '98, but I think there were quite a few cars, maybe 40 cars or something. We qualified mid-pack, made the race, and the rest has been history. Yeah, I mean, it was so long ago now that you think about it. You know, I didn't know what I didn't know, right? But yeah, I was scared shitless, right? I mean, you're 16 years old in a sprint car against, you know, the best guys in the country coming there to do it. You know, how my mom would say it all the time still if I was racing today. Now, if you don't feel comfortable, you just stay in the back. But it was one of those things where a lot different than young kids today, right? My parents weren't pushing me, we're going here to win, we're doing this, right? It was, we're going there to learn, right? And it's going to take some time and stay out of the way and work on my craft and learn to be a race car driver. No, but I remember the deal with Kevin Thomas, right? And Newkirk's car had blown up, I think, in hot laps. And my buddy from racing karts as a kid, Jonathan Vinard, was not old enough to race. So they had his sprint car on show out in front of the grandstands, ready to go, right? I think they had just bought all of Gary Hayhurst's stuff early that year. So there it was, ready to go. KT jumped in it, right, and kept the championship battle on. And we all know that you know, pretty pinnacle race in USAC Sprint Car racing history later that night. I was too far behind that battle to see it or remember it, but that was one big race in the history of USAC Sprint Cars. I hung out at Tim Engler's shop in Princeton as much as I could, right, just trying to soak it up. It's where I wanted to be all the time. And there was one week I was there, and Andy Hillenberg was there for the week working on his cars for the World of Outlaw races. And just one evening, you know, talking about racing, what I should do. And, you know, Andy Hillenberg, I remember him telling me that the best thing you can do, 2 things: race against the best people and races at many different tracks as you can. So that's what we did, right? We went to all those USAC races and, you know, beat my head against the wall and raced the best guys, and, you know, learned how to qualify, right? It was evident you've got to be able to go out there and put a lap together, you know, to do that. So we did it, right? For 4 years, racing USAC races and not winning, being close, and you know, the opportunity, like you said, in end of '04, being able to run some races. And it was different back then, right? That's one thing that pretty proud to be a part of at USAC is building the sprint car schedule and big races and races where you can do that full time. Mid 20 to high 20 amount of races back then. You would have to go and race a lot of other series and local races to stay sharp and be good. So I got that opportunity to be with Scott Bennick the end of '04, bunch of second places. We won at Gas City, went to Charlotte, able to pass Troy Klein at the end and win that race, my first USAC win, and then roll into '05 and kind of have a breakout season. Yeah, truly it's a relief, right? Because that's the goal and that's what you're trying to do. So it's not like a surprise. It's a relief, like, man, we can do this. Yeah, working with young drivers, over the last, dozen years or so, you have to enjoy the journey. One thing I tell their parents and them, you have to enjoy the journey. I use the example all the time, right? I mean, Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell never drove for Keith Kunz until they were 18 years old, right? It was kind of pre-social media. So those guys were racing and learning their craft and learning how to race and doing it kind of without anybody knowing. Now in today's world, everybody has, they have their own social media pages and they're posting all the results and it's instantaneous. You know how they did. Well, me in those days, you had to wait till Thursday or Friday till Speed Sport News came to see, if you were even in the rundown of a race. So that's one thing that's changed, right? Everybody, we all see the results and, we see it we can actually watch all the races now. I mean, really, a dozen years or so ago, I mean, you were lucky if the stream came through or didn't glitch out or whatever. So that part's changed. It is pressurized for young kids, but even more important that they are still pretty young, racing against people that are doing it for a living and raising their kids and paying for their house and those sort of things. So that's what's unique about sprint car and midget racing still to this day.